Welcome to the Real Deal Media podcast channel, where you can hear all your latest favorites. You can live your life, accomplish all your objectives, and listen to the most effective show on the internet, on television, anywhere today, right here at the Real Deal Media podcast. Enjoy. Okay. All right, we're back. Not that I left. This is Real Deal Media's official podcast channel and flagship podcast show, Late Night Thoughts. And I'm the captain of the ship here tonight, Dean Ryan. Joined tonight, riding passenger seat with me, because I saw her hitchhiking on the road. That is the wonderful and ever so pleasant Jenna. How are you doing, Jenna?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm pleasantly well. I'm swell. Yeah. Well, this is Late Night Thoughts, and if you're new to this podcast, welcome, greetings. This is a show where we talk about everything and nothing at all, and then the directions and the pathways to the next chapter are never written in fine detail, print or otherwise, but sometimes we do have guests on, and tonight we have someone special, Jenna. You'd be surprised.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Okay, well, since you asked, and I'm glad you did, because I was probing for a question. We have an author on tonight, and his name is John Johnson, and he's going to be joining us. And he has a new book that you actually took a glance and a read at, didn't you?
I did. I read the manuscript.
Yes. So we're going to get into it. And the title of the book, Pimps, Prostitutes, and Tricks. And actually, he's joining us right now. John Johnson, welcome to Late Night Thoughts. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for coming on. I know we've been trying to schedule this for quite some time, and it's just been a one thing after another. You know, in the news world right now, as you can imagine, this is the busy season for everybody in the news media. Oh wow. You know, I can't even plan my tomorrows, you know?
Right.
It's so hard. The world is so changing, but anyways, you have a new book, which we're going to get into in a little while here, but you're joined tonight by myself, of course, but Jenna, who's going to be my co-pilot in case I pass out. I don't want to crash the plane. Is that terrible? If you were a pilot and you said that to your co-pilot, they must do like pilot jokes. These guys that fly, don't you think so? That only they get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just them two in the cabin, for sure. Yeah, because you know what? Because if I heard that passing the cockpit, I'm blacking out. You know, that's the last thing you want to hear. Blacking out. It's like if a dentist said to you he has Tourette's and he's like working on your mouth with the scalpel. Right. But anyways, getting into that. John Johnson is John, it's very interesting how we met. We have some history, and maybe you can explain to Jenna and the audience how that all came about, because it's a fascinating journey when you break it all down.
Well, we met right when you started the show, and I think we were just like looking for some content, and I just happened to listening to you, and you had some really interesting topics that you were going over, and I thought I could add a little bit to it because I just came out of federal prison from the Pimps, Prostitutes, and Tricks fiasco, and I was in prison with Tim Dick, who is Tim Allen from Home Improvement, and Jimmy Baker, and a host of other people. And when we talked, you were just beginning your journey with Real Deal Media, and I just went through your whole thing with you from the beginning until now, and we've just talked all along the way.
Whoa, you were in prison with Tim Allen?
Yeah, his real name is Tim Dick.
No.
Yep.
How is that Tim Dick and John Johnson? I love it.
Now, wait a minute. We have to harp on this because, this really begs the topic of how many people in the world have the last name, Dick, or is it Richard and he just shortened it for Dick?
I don't know. Everybody just called him Tim.
Wow. Tim.
He was funny there, too.
Wow. Was he a nice guy? Because this whole time you told me this, I thought you were just calling him, like
No. I wasn't calling him that. No. He's actually a really nice guy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he is. I used to love
funny.
That show.
Really funny.
Is he still with us, or am I having like the Mandela effect?
No.
He's passed. Yeah. I mean, gosh.
Okay. I thought so.
No, he hasn't. Did he?
What?
No, he's not passed. Okay, no. I was joking.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No. It's the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. You know why you're thinking of Bill Paxton, who people then confuse with Bill Pullman, who then people confuse with Tim Allen.
I gotta Google this.
Oh my God.
Well, what was he? What was he in
crazy.
jail for? Do you remember?
John, do you want to talk about what you're in jail for? I'll tell you
No,
my
not
jail
you.
story if you tell me yours.
John, I meant Tim Allen.
Oh.
Tim Dick.
Oh, okay. Well, either or. You could tell, or it's up to you.
Well, I don't know too much details, and I don't really want to say too much about him. I think it has something to do with drugs.
Yeah, I remember I remember his photo, like the mugshot. Yeah,
right.
I mean, he's cleaned himself up, and
sure he has. Yeah.
What an amazing job he's done, and
really good.
He was one of those like Roseanne types. He was just kind of that last really Americana, organic, just like a quality TV show.
Yeah, I thought he had a pretty good show.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't going for the low-hanging fruits. It's just one of those shows. You just, you don't have to turn the channel if there's people that are, sensitive or whatever,
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's actually the subculture or the counterculture of today is being a peg square. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And,
but as a person, he was just a really, nice, easygoing guy, and yeah, he was funny there too. Kind of amazing.
So, I want to get into your book here because, John, as you heard, John is he found me with the Real Deal Report in just 2.5 years ago now. Can you imagine? Almost 3 years virtually.
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. It's like I can't even remember 2019.
Yeah. And you have gone through a lot of stuff, I'm telling you, with this show and with the people you've had on. And
this is Jenna. You don't even know. Like John Johnson owns my timeline. John has seen it all.
Mm-hmm.
And John, is it fair to say that normally people that in just normal life don't go through so many torpedoes and just piranhas after them like I have? No,
not at all. You've really dodged quite a few bullets, and you were like gone through some immense stressful times. I remember when the big booming bombs were coming up from underneath the ground in LA, and you had drones following you, and yeah, it was really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, Jenna, it's so bad that they based the entire movie of Terminator on my life. I don't know if you knew that. I'm John Connor.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's a documentary. I turned down the role. That's why.
And how many people, we've had on the show, and just, it was really something else. And with some of those things that the people have done, it's just really crazy. It's been quite a show.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? It's like a Greek tragedy waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, for the longest time, I was scared of turning 27. Then I was scared of turning like 33 because John Belushi died at 33 and Chris Farley. And I said, oh God, well, I'm not that big, but but I've survived what I'm saying, and I've certainly survived the past 2.5 years for now. But yeah, it's been a journey. But so, anyways, that's kind of
calls, wasn't it?
Oh God, too close for comfort, to borrow the term.
Right.
Literally, I mean, it's like hanging out at a high riser on the ledge, eating a tuna sandwich, just like you see those pictures. It's just like.
We've had some late night discussions too, and I was trying to tell you, like, certain people I felt like they had to kind of out to you, and you didn't really see that at the time because you were involved with other things. And I was like, hey, you better watch out for this person. And sure enough, it showed true.
Yeah, exactly. Jenna, where were you at that time? Why didn't you tell me anything?
I know. I would have. Yikes.
Just like her. Sits on her thumbs and doesn't tell me anything.
I know.
But no, you're right. It's scary. It's scary to know that someone you think you're close with, that you're working with hand in hand, is actually the Judas goat. The Judas of Iscariot. Whatever they're called. It's frightening. You're like, oh my God. But since then, John reached out to me. Oh, maybe a month ago, I think, around that time, some end of summer or whatever, and he told me he had this book, and I said, wow, I had no idea, and I'm glad you did. But so let's kind of maybe get into your life and what the book's about, and get into all the sub pathways to it all, because I'm sure there's going to be a few rabbit holes that we might step in. And let's get into the book. And it's a sex book about the sex industry. And I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you have the floor and just kind of take us on the journey of what it's all about.
Okay. Well, me and my now deceased wife, her name was Pam. We were trying to look for, at this particular point in our lives, we were looking for something to do to gain sort of employment and making money, and we didn't really know what to do. And we were involved with a lot of I guess criminal things. When I say criminal things, I was just like real low criminal things, like some shoplifting stuff. And we weren't really. By the way, this was like over 20 years ago. All this stuff, and we decided to get into the stripping industry, and she became a feature dancer, and that's where she was a really beautiful girl. So that's where you become a feature, like at a different city, and they have like the regular girls, but then they feature one girl from out of town, and they make her sort of the center piece for the center entertainment.
Right.
Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Because a friend of mine told me once. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like how Heather Locklear was always the special guest star on Melrose Place, when we all know damn well. No, she really wasn't. But no, I get what you mean.
Yep. And so she was doing that, and we were putting our money together, and because we wanted to start a nude maid service, and we just had this idea that maybe nude maids would go really well. And so we started putting that together, and we bought this big Murphy building, and we converted it into with different rooms with different scenes in it. Like one room would be like the wet room, and that's where people would come in and want to get urinated on, believe it or not. And so the guys, yeah, I know. Guys would call in and say, "Hey,
Wow.
get the girl ready, have her start drinking a lot of water," and
Oh
he
my
would come
God.
in, and then the girl would, just piss all over the guy, and the guy loved it.
Oh man.
I can't imagine the cleanup. Can't imagine the cleanup on that
Yeah,
one. But,
it's
Yeah.
it's like a dog kennel. Yeah.
exactly.
Next.
Yeah, that room was,
Yeah.
it was made just for that, though. And then we
Okay,
had a domination dungeon. I'm sorry, go ahead.
wow. And if we could, what city particularly are we talking about here? Are we talking about North Hollywood or?
No, we're talking about Minneapolis. It was in Plymouth.
Oh, Minneapolis. And are we in the 80s, the 90s at this point?
90s, early 90s, yeah.
Early 90s, Minneapolis. So this was at a time too that Minnesota's demographic, just to put it in a overall context, was changing. You guys started bringing over the who are they? The Ethiopians or whatever.
Somalians.
Yes, thank you, Somalians. God, I'm sorry, Ethiopians. I'm sure, but yeah. I remember that was the time.
Population. Huge population of Somalians. Really
Big time. Yeah. I never understood why your state did that.
I don't understand either.
In the most whitest of all states, you go to Minnesota. You go to Minnesota, it's the whitest of all states, and then you go to some places, they're the most liberal of all white people in the state who may not understand, but they're getting overtaken by the Somalians, not the Ethiopians. And it was just so weird because I went there a few years ago. I saw your local baseball team play over there in Minneapolis. No, local. It was over there in Minneapolis. There's local baseball, little cities versus other cities.
Oh, okay.
It's coming back. Yeah. But continue. So this is the early 90s. We're talking Minnesota.
Right.
And
and
different.
Then the rooms, one other room was like the domination dungeon, and a lot of guys would want to, role play, and they would get chained up to a wall and get whipped. And one particular gentleman, he liked, this is the oddest thing. I don't know why he liked this, but he would come in and he'd have one of the girls place a bedpost, the corner of the bed, on his chest. And then he would have the girl jump on the corner of the bed, and he would come out so bruised. I'm surprised somebody didn't kill him.
Wow.
But this is what he got off on, and it was the strangest thing. He'd come out just sore, could barely move, but happy.
No,
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy. Jenna, I got to ask you because you're a woman, and from what you've told me and alluded to, and in real life, in the real life of women, is this something that women think of? The water sports, as you heard earlier, the whipping, the chains, or are these kind of just fixtures and stem and originate from men's imaginations?
Well, I think that's why they might have to pay to do it. So yeah, I would say that it's not the average.
Typical Belgian behavior.
Correct. No, I can't say I've partaken in any of that, nor seen it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a good point. You just never know who's wearing their Viking horns, to bed, and they're just cosplay. Right. Well, they've normalized it all, and they just call it cosplay now. They just normalize it. But so, anyways, this is all happening now. Before this was all kind of rolling out in this kind of new business you started in Minnesota, which, because overall, this kind of, we're shedding light on the sex industry, the elephant in the room no one wants to talk about, but the oldest profession in the United States, and if not the world. But up until that point, were you just a sexual admirer of pornography?
No.
How did this all come about? Because
I knew nothing of this industry, and it just came from an idea because I knew that sex made money, And I had a friend of mine who did birthday bashes and things like that, weddings and bachelor parties, and so he would send girls out to that, and I watched him do it, and he was making a lot of money. So it was strictly just a money thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got into it, it really opened up into a world that I just could not believe. The type of people that came to my business were, judges, doctors, police. I mean, all different types of people that you would never think.
You said priest? Like priest?
No, police.
Oh,
police.
Yeah,
police,
oh my God. Yeah. What did a priest get into?
I it would not surprise me if a priest did come.
Oh, you probably would have declined him at the door. You're like, you know what?
No, I wouldn't have. I would have let him in. I don't discriminate.
Now, so was this like in downtown Minneapolis?
No, it wasn't. It was actually in one of the suburbs, and really prestigious suburb too. And so it was not.
Now, did you have like a very liberal-minded upbringing, like anything goes kind of thing?
Pretty conservative. Republican. Yeah, no, I had no upbringing like that at all. And so my mom and dad, at the time, they were not so pleased with me. And I remember I told my dad, because my dad owned a big concrete business. And I told my dad, I said, I'm not walking into my future with a concrete trawl in my hand. And what a stupid thing to say, And I'm gonna have hookers, Dad. This wasn't the thing he wanted to hear.
Well, yeah, who wants to hear that?
No.
Yeah, it's hard to hear, but I would have understood, but you didn't, So, okay, so this is all happening, and I'm sure the money's rolling in, and
it was fun too. It was at the time. It was fun.
Now, but let's get into the. Obviously, there's a seedy, element to the sex industry, just like there's a seedy element to truck driving. They call lot lizards. There's a seedy element to the music business. It's probably the worst out of all the past two I just said. And just some of these seedy things I talk about, or some of them are just more polarized than others. But obviously, the sex industry is it's very polarized because it's all around us. Sex sells. It sells in music. It sells in advertising. You look at a Coca-Cola bottle. It's shaped like the female
figure.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, where in just like any kind of story, where was the tipping point of a sea change for you in this sex industry?
What do you mean by that? The tipping point?
Because where was was there a turning point in it all? Because I know we spoke about one incident where there was some gentleman that showed you something,
Oh, yeah. Well, it wasn't really a turning point for me, but it was quite a shocking experience. It was two gentlemen that came to my business, and they wanted me to go into this type of business. And I didn't know what they were talking about at first, but they came in and they showed me this videotape. And it was this girl, when you first, you got to picture this. He turns on the VCR at the time. We had VCRs at that. But he turns it on, and all of a sudden you just see this girl tied in this chair. And she's blindfolded, and she can't move. And all of a sudden, a guy comes in with a big mask over his head, leather mask. You can't see him. And he puts a drill through the girl's kneecap. And then, it finishes off with him with a bat inserted up in this woman, and he wrenched her open. And what it was a snuff film. And they wanted to see if I would get involved with that. And I was freaked out now. And I'm like, you guys got to go, get out of here. But I don't know what he wanted. What they wanted. I don't know if they wanted me to give him my girls so they could kill him. I have no idea. And yeah, right. And no, and they left, and I never seen them again. But they were those kind of people are out there.
They certainly are. They certainly are. Jenna, you had a good flip through of John's new book. What are some things that popped to your mind? Because I'm sure this, some of these things are hard to hear, but what was crawling through your cranium at this sex industry? It's not something we really even address too much on Real Deal Media, so this is kind of a new venture for the listeners, I'm sure.
I feel like I had so many thoughts and so many further questions, one being like, how many people continue to come back? Were there like certain people that just seem to come often more than others? Not in particular, who they were or whatever, but were there people like that?
Oh, of course, we had regulars. But the funny thing was, when I first started, for 3 months, I didn't make a cent, not 1 cent. And I thought, wow, maybe we made a mistake here. And then it just so happened, one guy came in, and right after that, it just exploded, and it became its own breathing sheet where I could not even control it. It had so many people, and the girls were always just, it was just unbelievable.
Well, that was an interesting little take there. Jenna asked, "Did people come often?" John replied, "People. It exploded." Wonderful, wonderful. What we just ventured into here, late night.
Literally.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, and some. So now, how long did you take on the business for? How long did that go?
5 years. About 5 years.
Mm-hmm. 5 years, and why did it come to a close? And
well, one of my girls, she agreed to have sex with an undercover agent, and she got busted because you don't have to actually engage in the act, but all you have to do is verbally agree to it. And so she did, and she gets busted for prostitution. And she went down and completely told them that Allure made me do it. And so they raided my business, they raided my home, and I was in jail, and somebody woke me up and said, "Hey, is that you?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." And they were like, "Wow." And she took the whole thing down pretty much. And
wow.
Yeah.
So you go to jail, you get out, and naturally you would think something so lucrative, why don't I get back into that?
Well, it was time for it to stop. And plus I signed a deal where I had to close the business down. Otherwise I was going to look at a lot of time. So, yeah.
Was it like the movies where you're just rolling in the dough and the drugs and the
Well, yeah, it was. It
Wow.
was. People think, like maybe 300,000, in a year is not that great, but it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
When you see it in cash and everything like that, it's a lot of money. And especially not having to be there after a while, you just, have all your other people just run it for you. And you have your one girl, they call her the bottom bitch. That's what they call her. The bottom, yeah. That's what in the industry we call her. And she's the one who sort of leads all the other girls, all the other, people, the stable.
Well, back in my day, we called those the madams.
Yeah, madams too. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in my time.
Yeah.
So you ventured out into other avenues of life, obviously, and
yeah.
Now, what is it about this book that, or I should ask you this before that? What inspired you to write a book? Because I've been wanting to write a book for like almost 8 years now, and it's just hard to. What was the inspiration?
Well, people that I would talk to, they were, as I got into this story and told them about it, they couldn't believe it. They were just like, "Boy, you just don't seem like that kind of guy." And I said, "Well, yeah, I know it, but I did do that." They said, "You should write a book." And so I finally did. After numerous people told me, write a book. So that's what I did.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but now, what is the overall message of this book, do you think, that you're trying to convey to a global audience?
I don't really have a message in it. I just wanted to share my experiences with it, and I'll let other people kind of take out of it what they want.
Well, here's why I ask, because you're going to have a set of people say, just because there's going to be various opinions, it's just everything I do too. There's always an opinion, but people will say, you know what, he contributed. Some people would view you, and none of us here tonight, I don't think. Some people would view as a contributor to the trafficking and exploitation of women. What do you say to that kind of criticism? Because it's such a very polarized industry right now, sex industry, especially as information of trafficking has reached a fever pitch with the general population, first time ever.
Right. Well,
what do you say to that?
Well, I mean, everybody has their opinions, but I wasn't a trafficker. And all my girls, that worked there, they fully made it their own decision to do this. It's nothing that I ever had to, push or make them do anything. And this is something that they chose free willingly. And yeah, they liked it. They wouldn't do anything else.
Jenna, I'm going to ask you, what is the overall, from your experience, your group of girlfriends, how does that circle or similar circles, what is their take on sex industry? Because I've noticed too, if a dancer is, you would say, she's very limited in who she tells she's an exotic dancer to, because, women are catty, they can be catty, judgmental, they'll break your heart, leave you broke and on the side of the road, and they just don't give a damn about you at times. You know what I'm saying? Like, do they thumb their nose still at people in the sex industry, sex workers?
I would say if they knew someone personally and well, then they probably wouldn't. Like myself, I know someone who used to dance, and I think she enjoyed, the thrill of it at first, and then it became a money thing. It was like, wow, I can make 1,000 plus a night. And so then it just, it became about the money and less about the thrill. And I mean, I still respected her, and I kind of understood, like, if this is, how you want to make your money. And like, I don't know, I never judged her for it. I suppose I could never do it, but she just had that personality where she just had the confidence to do that, and the allure.
People don't realize it's really a lot of work for these girls. It's not an easy job.
Yeah, well, you have to cater to multiple people's preferences, so you're a chameleon, probably, in a sense.
You know what it's like? Because it's like being a DJ. I used to be a DJ, a wedding DJ, which is probably one of the worst jobs you can ever have in life. They made a show called Bridezilla, and they called it that for a reason. I've had you deal with the Bridezillas at weddings, then you deal with just so many people like, oh, you're playing the shittiest music, and then on the other side of the room, it's, oh, that's the greatest song of all time. Thank you for playing that. Nobody's ever happy, and the same applies with strip clubs too. Like I would see like just to be frank, I would see like a nasty looking, skank, like has no business, like somewhere in what is it called? Buttfuck, Illinois. This is actually a real story. We had the day shift, so no one else was available. So
during the lunch buffet.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoot, never mind. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, please say it. Yeah, you can't get any worse than me right now.
I was just thinking, maybe she got pregnant, and so I don't know. That's terrible.
Well,
No, they're
I don't
all going to
know.
school to be doctors, though.
She just there's
Mm-hmm.
been some strippers over the years. When I used to go to strip clubs, you go with a bunch of friends or whatever, and it's thrilling at first, as Jenna was saying, and then it's like, oh, all right, it's gonna be someone trying to con me out of money, or someone who I'm talking to, and then gets up and says that's gonna be 5 songs, you owe me $300. I'm like, what? We were just talking. And she says to me, this was in Dallas. She says to me, yeah, tell that to the Samoan bodyguard behind you. And I said, oh God.
Oh wow.
I know you look like the bad guy from James Bond that threw his hat. Was that sumo wrestler guy? Anyways, yeah. So it's me personally, I don't enjoy it, like going to a strip club. I just think it's a waste of money now. I mean, maybe I used to a long time ago, but I can't. Especially now. I mean, you don't know who is triple, quadruple, miracle jabbed, and it's just viral shedding on you.
There's
Mm-hmm.
some guys that cannot operate in a regular normal bar. They only go to strip clubs.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, because you get hit on in the strip clubs. The girls give them attention. They go to a regular bar. Nobody pays them any attention.
Yeah, it strokes their ego. I know the
Exactly.
type. I know the type.
So,
Hey, Garrett, what are you saying?
I mean, but the atmosphere in some of them it's really comfortable.
It is.
The ambiance, it's darker. You got these nice comfy seats with usually what's wheels on the bottom.
Well, we know what Jenna did last weekend.
No, I haven't been in so long. But my girlfriends and I,
Well,
we used to go and just hang out. And sometimes we would, pay to, I don't know, watch but what do you sit at the front row, thing? We used to do that just for
no.
fun.
oh,
But
yeah, we call that panty sniffers roll.
Well,
my God.
I mean, we've had a lot of fun. But yeah, the ambiance. But we also knew that these places stayed open till 3 a.m. If we were going to be out all night. But some of the bars in the Indianapolis area, it's like based on, how many
Indianapolis?
people are in the bar. Yeah, that's where I live. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, they have a lot of strip clubs there.
they do. There's one like on every side of town within 15, 20 miles, I
Yes,
think.
they do.
I think
Yeah.
PT's is one of the more famous
PTs,
ones.
I'm very familiar with PTs.
You guys know each other?
Jenna,
They,
you do look familiar.
yeah.
Wait a minute, Jen. Is there something you want to
One time. It was one time.
reveal what your day job is in the day shift?
Mhm. Yeah, that's funny. I would have to do it like out of town or something. There's no way I would do it.
Perfect. John, set that up now. Make the calls.
Okay.
No.
Dead serious.
That would have
stop in the
been
show.
in more of my prime,
Oh, come on. We're all in our prime now. This is it, bro. Armageddon's coming. What's stopping you? Anyways,
Yeah, right. Well, I did hear that peak is 35, and I'm only 36, so.
oh. Well, which calendar? The Gregorian calendar or which?
Oh, right.
See, that's the problem. I will say, after my methodical thinking I've just been doing here, that the Hustler Club in Vegas is actually it is a really nice place, because I used to live in Vegas, and it's a great place to watch the games on Sunday. They do a whole thing. The food's pretty good too, now that I'm thinking about it.
Hey, Dean.
Yes.
You know that I actually have right here next to me, who's my girlfriend now, but she used to be a dancer in Vegas at the Cheetah Club.
Okay, I've been to
If
Cheetah.
if you want to ask any questions about it, you can just ask her. Stephanie?
Oh, God.
If you want to chime in on anything, just say something.
What do you want me to chime in?
Well, how you felt, or what made you? Was it hard work? Was it just for the money, or when you did it?
Yeah, it was hard work. Yeah, it was for the money. At the same time,
You had
it was
fun.
exciting. Yeah, I had a hell of a lot of fun.
What was your go-to song? What was the song that was your song that you
Life in a
did
Fast
well?
Lane.
Right in the fast
Oh,
lane.
wow.
Ooh, what was your
Jenna,
stage
what was your
name?
song?
What was your stage name?
Constance.
Constance.
Ooh, cool.
Ooh. Yeah,
What would
I
your
lived by
stage name
for a
be,
long
Dee?
time, but then, I couldn't remember it half the time, and then the other half the time I'd go to a club and there was another Heather. So the DJ said, think of something that nobody else, will know or use. So I went with my middle name.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, I won't
Yeah.
forget it. So yeah, it was.
My stage name was Bono.
Oh no.
Bone.
Yeah, not
Oh,
Bono.
mine was
Bono.
Boner. Mine was Boner.
Okay, yeah, that's why they confuse us. Someone says boner, we both turn around. We're like, who, me?
Like, where?
Yeah, I've actually seen guys that make really great friendships with a lot of the dancers. Like they help them
Oh,
out,
they
they're
do.
friends.
Oh,
There's
sure.
actually it's the biggest misconception is that it's just a bunch of creeps that go to strip clubs. There's actually people that just go for attention, like you said, and they actually want to making great friends with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And those were the type of guys, a lot of those guys that came to see me, believe it or not, they didn't, their marriage wasn't going so well. Um, I had a guy who had Parkinson's disease, and he had not had the attention from a woman for so long that he would actually, want to he'd pay for it and just get it. And he was so happy by just coming there. Well, yeah.
There we go again.
Here we go again.
He exploded.
Right. But he'd love to come there and just, yeah. And I could just tell that he was a really lonely person.
Yeah. It's like you just described me, John. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We're all lonely. But that's what I think. Really, if there is a point to get across, and if you haven't, if you want to check out John's book, I believe now he's on Kindle. And good. Are you on Goodreads as well? Goodreads.com.
Not yet, but I will be in Barnes and Noble, Amazon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that by download or hardback or
Yeah, well,
paperback?
you can get hard copy and soft. There we go again. You get
Yeah, there's a theme here tonight.
right.
Yeah, and I'm assuming there's a
Ebook.
good set of pictures in there of a
No
young
pictures.
John. No
No
pictures?
pictures. No.
Oh, okay. Well, you won't get to see John Johnson in his early '90s mullet there in Minnesota.
Right. The hockey haircut.
Yeah, unfortunately, but yes, but our strip clubs. I guess I should ask Jenna since she's in Indiana, the home of the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
You think strip clubs are a dying industry? Because I kind of think they are. I kind of think they are.
They might be. I haven't been in so long. I don't know. I would maybe. I mean, you think about the younger generations, and you have to wonder if that's their type of thing or not.
Well, there's been a huge swing now over, where you can get live action, through the internet now, just on camera. And people that don't have to leave their home.
Sex will survive.
Sex is always going to find a way to survive.
Mm-hmm.
The industry will always. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, but you got Fox News, right? New York Times, putting out all these articles, we covered it on air a while back, of how to engage in sex during times of COVID. Then it's how to engage in sex during the times of the monkeypox.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it as for what it is, completely just stupid, rubbish, comic book, just nonsensical,
Sure.
Directives from a bunch of bureaucrat nobodies, whatever.
Right.
But there's people that don't see that. They see, LA Times is putting it out there, and they're freaking out. They're like, oh God, I'm not dating. I'm not going to go kiss this person or that or touching. It's that level of fear, because it's the fear
Mm-hmm.
and the lack of knowledge and the lack of history and the lack of discernment that does create this new collective mindset of the 21st century that's going to be just accelerating now as people are dropping like flies everywhere. And that's why I think the programming that we saw in all these movies like Demolition Man, where people engaging in fornication through VR, virtual reality,
Yeah, that's what's happening.
It by design. And I think that's when I'm saying the human contact industries, the service sectors of all types, they want to get rid of that as these new smart city initiatives are now starting to be rolled out.
Oh, yeah. Probably a part of Agenda 2030.
Which is,
get rid of all of it.
It is.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, until they have to rename it Agenda 2035.
Right.
Don't cross this line.
Agenda 21. Well, it used to be Agenda 21, then it moved to Agenda 30.
You know what? I was so pissed when that happened. I sold so many Agenda 21 t-shirts.
Did you?
No, but I know people that did. Imagine how pissed they are. Can't say, too broken up about it. But yeah, it's Agenda 2030 now. You know they're losing when the World Economic Forum and the UN had to have a not so secret meeting somewhere at some cafe in Brussels.
Right.
And signed a proclamation recently to accelerate the time and the pace of Agenda 2030. They're like, shit, they're finding out too fast, quick.
Yeah,
faster.
Hence the other wave coming very soon and blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of too, though. Because the other wave that happened in the 60s of getting away from the very militant, the patriarch, if you will. There should have been a happy, even median balance, right? Mm-hmm. No, it didn't stop. There was no breaks. So it went all the way to the extreme polarized other opposite of the spectrum. And now it's swinging back. And I hope we don't go back into a Mussolini type of, fascist structure, which if we do, I don't think we'll see in our lifetime, but the next generation is going to have to fight that.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to suck.
I know. I can bet on a civil war, in my opinion. But
well, let's get into this now. As after we've just kind of exploded the thoughts of the sex industry, which we'll dive right back into. If civil war. Do you think we're going to have a civil war? Jenna thinks we are.
You do, Jenna?
Yet,
well, I don't know if we Americans are good at banding together like that. That's the.
I cannot find people band together either, and it's really disheartening because we really should be at this particular time.
Right, I agree.
Well, I think you're both right in an aspect, and then I think you're both kind of maybe there's a missing course to the mill here. And I think the first course I would say, I think as far as a physical war, I think people are too fat and lazy to do that. We're too decadent. To fight physically like that, right? You have to be hungry, like the Libyans. Yeah, you have to be very down and out, which we're not there yet. But you have to have nothing left to lose. You have to have dirty fingernails. You don't have anything to eat, and you have to want that.
I think they should use people in prison.
Yeah,
give them an alternative.
Yeah, I mean the whole prison thing. The prison industrial complex. But
that's
the other point. I want to bring that up, but the other topic I would say that we already are in a civil war, but it's not the civil war that you expect.
It's not
Mhm.
conventional. Right.
Right. It's not like the movie Glory. They're bringing the cannon and
Right.
wheeling it to the battlefield.
In a way, we are in one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a civil war of like Kanye West just got canceled out of J.P. Morgan Chase because they didn't like his
Mhm.
politics. Real Deal Media, we got canceled from Stripe, payment processor. No reason, no
Sure.
rhyme, no reply, no recourse.
Right.
We
How about
don't
Alex
know why.
Jones now with the 1 billion?
Which is, you know what? I'm glad they did that because they overplayed their hand. They really did.
Really overplayed it.
Oh, it's overplayed where I'm starting to think the whole trial's fake. It's stupid.
Mhm.
And can you imagine when the jury said that, whoever the head juryman was, damn well they had their pinky right next to their mouth as they said $1 billion.
Right. $1 billion.
Yeah.
Right.
Petting a cat, too. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Incredible. But that's going to cause a lot of divisiveness, which I think it's intended to do.
Mhm. Yeah, we've fallen right into their trap.
Sure.
that's just it. The Civil War is the attacking of the confines, the structure of basic communications, necessities, the censorship.
The right
You
to
know?
right to speech. I mean, that's gone.
Mhm.
Right.
We can't express ourselves anymore. It's just not the same place that when I was a kid I grew up in. It's just really not. And
Literally. You
yeah,
have
a lot of the
Somalians all
kids.
over Minnesota. It's
Sure.
a totally
Sure.
different demographic.
Well, and is
Yeah.
it really fair for these companies that some of these companies are monopolies, to get in, their hand in these politics and say, well, I
Sure.
don't like what they say, and then cancel people, I mean, canceling someone's bank account is a huge deal, but,
Huge deal.
and it's like, I don't understand why they feel the need to be so involved. Why can't they play both sides? Wouldn't that be
You know what?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Why do you?
Well, thank you, John, for asking. As I'm choking on that. We're choking, coming, and exploding tonight. That's what we're doing. Well, here's why they do it. Because we let them.
mhm,
Where was
So
everybody in
true.
2011? Where was everybody in 2011 when the TSA started putting their hands up people's orifices?
right. I
Where
was
was
just talking about
everybody?
this. Yes.
Yeah. 2011 was the first attempt to stop it in Texas, actually led by Alex Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was on board with that one, and Obama was going to put a air blockade over Texas if they did that, because that would have let the cat out of the bag. But where was everybody? I go to TSA now when I go to flying, and I put up a whole mess, and I don't go through the whole thing, and people get annoyed at me, and then they purposely make sure I hear them. They'll say, "Thank you for keeping us safe."
Right.
Right.
To some ticket
Heard
scalper who
that.
sells stereos in the back of his truck out in a parking lot, who's now,
Mhm.
he's got a shiny badge he got from Toys R Us, and he thinks he knows.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are a reactive society, I think.
Yeah.
And is it our fault? Probably.
What's going to be the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back? I mean, we've learned to really bear a lot of weight now as it's progressively being put upon us. And our rock bottoms now for Americans, we all have trap doors. We can take a little bit more. We can take a little bit more oppression. I mean, it's crazy, and people aren't on no line anymore.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. What started off as white guilt then turned into straight guilt, which then turned into gender guilt. Oh, you can't say that, you're a man. You don't have it's just, it all stems from something that happened, really, a major turn in the 1980s. It was the empowerment in the building and development of China. And when the USSR fell, the ideology of the USSR didn't fall like the Third Reich. It just changed uniforms, and they brought it over here to the U.S. In behest of China. And it's called ideological subversion. Up is down, down's up.
Mhm.
Male is female, female's male, and it's done as a tactic to take down one of the last superpowers, nation states, without firing one bullet.